Hmm.
Once upon a time, a Shellmon who lived on the outskirts of a seaside village saved an injured Divermon. Divermon was a Titan, an enemy, but Shellmon's kindness caused Divermon to open up his heart. The pair grew closer and formed a deep friendship. However, the other Titan forces attacked the seaside village without mercy. The residents were forced to flee their homes, and Shellmon was no exception. Seeing Shellmon's tears of misery, Divermon had had enough. He wasn't going to watch his friend suffer anymore. He stood up to his fellow Titans and drove their forces out of the village.
So brave!
The Divermon that Shellmon once rescued blossomed into a great warrior and took a new appearance. He is now Neptunemon and referred to as the ruler of the seas. Around that time, a certain Digimon appeared in the ocean village. And Neptunemon did not realize this new arrival, Venusmon, was in fact the mature form of the Digimon Neptunemon owed his life to, Shellmon. Venusmon sent a poison-laced wine to Neptunemon, believing he was the loathsome Titan who stole the oceans from her people.
Damn.
Neptunemon drank the poison unknowingly and perished. Having learned the truth, Venusmon
Sad.
fell into the depths of despair, her mind shattered by the weight of her guilt. At that moment, poison spread through the once beautiful ocean, transforming its former splendor into a sea of death that none could approach. One can only wonder, was this series of tragic events truly unavoidable?
Up my volume on my headphones, I can't really
Venusmon can
tell where
smile to
the
take
volume
down the
buttons are.
Titans from within. But after she learned of Neptunemon's true identity, they joined forces to drive back the Titans. The pair vowed to work hand in hand to protect the seas and its denizens. The ocean would soon regain its previous brilliance, and its glorious depths will once again become a source of happiness to all who reside in her waters.
Damn.
Bacchusmon, the chief of a village surrounded by a primordial forest. This mighty Digimon loves his drink and lived a happy life along with song aficionado Sirenmon and the many other carefree villagers. Titan attempts to claim the forest's current were always repelled by Bacchusmon's great
My
strength,
favorite duo.
and each win was celebrated with lots of revelry among friends. Yet such triumphant toasts left many a Digimon drunk and vulnerable. The Titans worked meticulously, crafting a plan to take down the powerful Bacchusmon.
Damn it, Titans!
The victory parties had become routine, but one day, a Titan assassin took advantage of Bacchusmon's intoxication and put all the villagers to sleep.
Shit.
The intense Titan assault that followed led to the deaths of Sirenmon and a great number of the other villagers. The once verdant forest had withered into a shadow of its former beauty. Bacchusmon, overcome by grief and guilt, took a bottle of poison to his own lips and extinguished the joyful sounds of exuberant merrymaking forevermore. The Titans were defeated thanks to Bacchusmon's valiant efforts. But unfortunately, Sirenmon became a casualty of the fierce battle. Believing
That's
Sirenmon
sad.
would one day be resurrected, Bacchusmon vowed to continue waiting. Protected by those strong feelings, the forest of the great tree became invigorated. And, together with the village Digimon, began marking the passage of time once again. In the land of Iliad, the Bearmon brothers shared an inseparable bond. The little one admired his big brother's strength and courage, and the big one cherished the timid younger brother. They both swore to become strong fighters, and sharpened each other's skills as time went on. Yet, calamity befell them one fateful day, the day the Titans attacked the town the brothers called home. Though the brothers fought valiantly, they lacked the strength to put up a real fight. They were wounded in battle and chased out of town. In the ensuing chaos, they were separated from one another. Thus did time pass. Keeping his promise to his older brother, the timid younger brother grew into a valiant warrior. He continued to search for his big brother, but there was no trace of him anywhere. The sadness from losing his brother eventually turned into rage, and little Bearmon's hatred of the Titans grew even stronger. And the only way he found he could deal with that hatred was with his fists. By the time the two brothers were finally reunited, all that awaited them was gut-wrenching tragedy.
Like this.
Grapleomon found his brother at long last. Now a slave of the Titans, Callismon had been forced to fight in the arena. Grapleomon set foot into the arena to save his older brother. Yet, abhorrent augmentations at the hands of the Titans had transformed the once
He's doing the
kind
robot.
Callismon
He's doing the
into a
robot.
vicious monster. A brutal battle began between the long-lost siblings. When the fighting had reached a climax, Grapleomon digivolved into Marsmon and dealt the final blow. Callismon's mind and heart were restored, but the modifications to his body could not be undone. I'm counting on you. Don't let any more Digimon turn out like me. Marsmon took Callismon's plea to heart. It was the first time his older brother ever depended on him for anything. Carrying on his brother's wishes, Marsmon swore to protect the world alongside his new friends. Murukimon, a warrior with unparalleled swiftness and strength. Murukimon's valor drew Digimon to him, and they eventually formed a small village over time. Before long, this village evolved into a large city with vibrant, bustling streets. But even this lively and peaceful city was not safe from the conflict with the Titans. Murukimon rallied the village Digimon and fought valiantly, but was struck by a poisoned arrow while protecting a resident. The wounded Murukimon put up a desperate resistance, but his strength finally failed in the face of the advancing enemy horde, and the Titans conquered the city. Its citizens, burned out of house and home, were scattered aimlessly to the winds. Murukimon and his allies took flight, eventually finding their way to the human world. There, they established a new base, where they awaited the opportunity to retake their former home. However, the toxins from the poisoned arrow continued to eat away at Marukimon's body, weakening him before the upcoming battle. Mustering his last bit of strength, Marukimon and his allies attempted to storm their lost home, only to be defeated at the hands of the enemy's formidable forces. As the poison sapped away his strength, Marukimon, resigned to his death, sacrificed himself so his allies could flee. There he fell, the dream of reclaiming the city lost along with their leader's life. The mystical medicine wiped the poison from Marukimon's body, and strength returned to the fleet-footed warrior. Together, with his trusted allies, Marukimon rose up. It was time to take back their city from the invading forces. The renewed Marukimon put his vaunted speed on full display. Together with his comrades, Marukimon scattered the Titan army and reclaimed their city. Finally back where they belong, Marukimon's people worked tirelessly to restore their broken home. And soon the city was back to its vibrant self, a haven for all Digimon of Iliad. Plutomon, the erstwhile king of the Titans who had reigned over Iliad. Forced to abdicate that throne, Plutomon made the underworld his new kingdom, where he would hand down judgment to errant souls, and quietly lived out his eternity in Iliad's depths. But one fateful day, Plutomon, leading an army of Titans, suddenly appeared and began a full-scale invasion of Iliad. The brutal fighting that followed set the world on a path toward destruction. Our heroes marched into Plutomon's castle, hoping to stop the Titan invasion of Iliad. But there they encountered the living corpse of a Digimon, the ruined form of what had once been Plutomon. What in the world had become of Plutomon? Who, if not Plutomon, was giving orders to the Titans? Unraveling the truth behind this mystery may reveal a way to circumvent the tragedies enveloping the worlds.
The hero Chronomon held power over time, allowing him to decipher the Akashic records stored deep within Iliad. With power over time, Chronomon was a being of absolute presence that reigned over Iliad. But one day, Chronomon learned of the truth of the world from a record fragment engraved in the Akashic records. That this world was host to a higher being on a plane above ours. Trace mentions of a creator-like being, one who conceived all that we know, were inscribed in the Akashic records. This truth brought despair to Chronomon. It meant that every occurrence was preordained, and he began to see all of existence as gears in a machine, crafted by that being. Chronomon yearned to break the chains of fate that bound him. He ordered the warriors of Iliad, the Titans, into battle against the higher being. The higher being's might was unmatched, and Chronomon was easily defeated. He was then sealed away within the core of the device that governs time, the Akashic records. The Titans, deemed to be treasonous conspirators by the higher being, were exiled to the lowest level of Iliad and branded as villains of the digital world.
After saving Plutomon's life, he reveals Iliad's true past and the hidden truths within its history. The resentment and rage of a false hero who rose up against a deity in ancient times. Chronomon's curse was the true catalyst behind the events that plunged the world into chaos. Chronomon's malevolent will, manipulated some Titan warriors from the shadows, throwing Iliad into chaos, and eventually hoped to send the world on a path to ruin. Can those who uncovered the truth of the world put a stop to Chronomon's machinations? A master of all smithing techniques, Volcanismon, the avatar of the Forge God, could craft anything you could ever think of. He couldn't help but be drawn to the mystique of the human world. When Volcanismon finally got to visit, he connected with humans, exchanged knowledge and friendship with them, and truly enjoyed his time there. However, that joy ended up being short-lived. Tragedy befell Volcanismon as he found himself captured by humans with villainous intent. These humans used the knowledge and craftsmanship learned from Volcanismon himself to create various weapons to threaten and harm Digimon. Eventually, the humans attempt to construct a massive humanoid weapon, a Giant Slayer, capable of wiping out all Digimon from existence. Not only was Volcanismon used as a test subject, but in a true display of horror, his body was assimilated into the weapon. With a sincere hope of improving the world, Volcanismon offered his knowledge to humanity in good faith. Yet, in a cruel twist of fate, he became a threat to the world instead. Could this tragedy have possibly been averted? Volcanismon, who had been turned into the control unit of the weapon, was saved by sympathetic humans, ashamed by the suffering they had brought upon Digimon. Although Volcanismon was willing to forgive humanity, the wicked machinations of humans must be put to a stop. To that end, Digimon and humans fought as one, so that the tragedy set to descend upon the world in the near future might be averted. The divine oracle, Junomon. Adored by Minervamon and many other Digimon, Junomon was filled with joy as she looked forward to fulfilling her sacred duty. The duty of taking Iliad's great guardian under her wing and helping to raise him into his proper form. Junomon eagerly awaited his arrival. And at long last, Junomon met the great guardian. But at that exact moment, the Titans began a massive invasion of Iliad, and the pair were separated once again in the ensuing chaos. From that day forward, the doors of Junomon's temple were sealed shut, never to open again. But what became of Junomon? Will the day ever come when the temple doors open wide once more? Will the day ever come when the divine oracle once again appears before the populace of Iliad? Junomon loved and cherished the Great Guardian so much that she could not hold back the feelings of jealousy that came from such love. Chronomon's resentful will took advantage of the dark feelings in Junomon's heart, wormed itself in, and turned her into a tragic puppet. Junomon was able to regain her free will and break Chronomon's curse with the help of her newly reunited companions and their strengthened bond. The voices of those who revere and admire her strengthened her resolve to fulfill her role as trusted priestess. And then, Junomon spoke of the true threat looming over the digital world, the false hero, Chronomon. While possessed by Chronomon's will, Junomon learned an important truth. Aegiomon was created by Chronomon as a replacement gear to fulfill his ultimate goal. This was a tale of two worlds. The world of humans and the world of Digimon. As a result of the two worlds converging, Aegiomon met a human girl. By living among the humans, he learned of their kindness and formed a deep bond with them. But meanwhile, Chronomon was sowing the seeds of chaos that would guide the world to certain destruction. Aegiomon learned of his destiny to become the Great Guardian and rose up to face the challenge of protecting the world. However, during a battle, the girl disappeared into the ether. To rescue his companion, Aegiomon awakened the power over time that lay dormant within him. But in a tragic chain of events, he lost control over his power and set the world on a path to ruin, all according to Chronomon's machinations. Aegiomon fell into a deep despair from his failure to save his partner and from causing the destruction of the world. But fortune smiled upon the Great Guardian and offered him another chance. This time, Aegiomon used his mastery over time unselfishly and changed the tragic fate of Iliad's champions. Together, the 12 warriors awakened their true power as Iliad's protectors, found the girl, and vanquished Chronomon once and for all. However, even his demise at the hands of the Olympus 12 was part of Chronomon's grand design. I will take the place of the Keeper of Time. Despite knowing what that would entail, Aegiomon was resolute. He wished for the girl's happiness and sought to return everything she had ever lost to her, by offering the time they spent together as a cost. The gate connecting the two worlds had closed, once again separating them. Though his partner was now a world apart, Aegiomon would continue to watch over her, forever, as he promised.